My name's Adam Reed, and I wanted to welcome you back to The Wall, the podcast dedicated to all things marathon running. For the next few episodes, we are going to hear from some more marathon athletes, no surprise there, but what makes these athletes so special is that they have each won a marathon in 2023. We're going to hear first from Bethany, who has won the Richmond Marathon this past year, and what is even more special about these two athletes is that I ran the exact same races as them. While I was in the back and not leading the race, I believe I have a special connection because we each experienced the same day but had totally different outcomes. So I really look forward to hearing from them. Bethany is such a kind individual. She now lives in Colorado, and if you know anything about running in Colorado, that is high altitude, hard training, hills everywhere. She is a trooper for being out there and continuing to run, but her story is going to hit close to home, I think, for a lot of us. So I really encourage you to listen in, absorb the information that she is so willing to share, and I'm so thankful that she is willing to share. And together, let's get excited as a community that we get to hear from someone who has led a race and had a great time doing it. Winning a race for me is still on my bucket list because I so desperately want to cross through a finisher tape, that banner that they pull out as they see you coming in. I did win the Richmond 16.19K last year. I got first out of around 500 people, I believe, and that was an amazing moment. I was led by cop cars and got to feel all the feels of what these two will share in leading a race. It's truly a pinnacle moment that I will never forget. But for some reason, they did not pull out the finisher tape, so I am still on a mission to win a more major race in any distance, marathon, half, 10K, or 5K. So until then, I will live vicariously through these two individual athletes that both share such a passion for running, such a passion for the community, and a passion for sharing their story and shedding light on some of the darker times that come with life and how to juggle that and use running as an outlet to find joy and better your mental health. So once again, I am so thankful that we are starting with Bethany Ben, who will share her story and tell us what it was like to win the Richmond Marathon. Hey, thanks so much for coming on the show. So why don't you get us started by telling us, who is Bethany?
All right. Well, as a runner, I guess I'm a marathoner who is trying to keep the love of the sport alive and who's trying to get the most out of myself while I still have time and trying to scrape every little bit of potential that I can find. And as a normal human, I'm a finance manager for a healthcare company and a cat lady, and I'm pretty boring otherwise.
I love that. Yeah, I first thing I noticed about you is that you have like an immense love for cats. Usually, I would say you're either a cat lover or you're not. With dogs, I feel like almost everybody loves dogs, even in small bits. But cats are so specific. So, where does this love for cats come from? Did you just grow up with a cat?
We always had a cat, but I was never a cat person either until I got my cat. I think I was like right out of college and found these kittens behind my work that someone had just thrown into like a construction site. And I was like, well, of course I'm going to take this kitten. She's so cute. But then as I like became more of a cat lady, I kind of realized that I really like cats because they don't just give attention and love away. You have to earn it, and then you have to earn their trust. And with dogs, like I have a golden retriever, and he would be in love. He would get in a car with a murderer. Like he does not care. He has
Yeah.
no sense of like who is a good person or a bad person. And so I think I have like this theory that if you really hate cats, then it's kind of like a character flaw because it means that you don't want to like work to gain people's trust, or that you just want to take the easy way with relationships, which is probably not true. It's probably a really broad statement, but that's why I think I like cats. And they're just so low maintenance. I could leave her home and go on a trip for like 5 days and she would probably never miss me.
Okay, so here's the sign for all you cat haters out there that it's obviously a red flag if they don't like you, so make sure you're putting in all the work so that you can get their approval. And not only do you have a love and joy for cats, but now you're finding that back in the running world. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I moved to Boulder about a year ago, and I've really been making an effort to find people to train with, to find groups to join, and um, just I think that really brings the fun back for me when I'm just by myself out doing workouts and runs every day. Then I'm not having a good time, and so I've found that now, and I'm really excited about running right now, and so I'm trying to keep that and trying to keep things exciting, and yeah.
Well, welcome back. There's honestly no better feeling than going on a run and actually enjoying it. I can't say that every day we feel like that as runners, but to get a really solid wave of good running vibes for a couple weeks, months, that is such a blessing. So if you don't mind discussing it, would you tell us why you took time off from competitive running?
Yeah, well, I was under fueling and I was purging. And so I wasn't getting any nutrients. Whatever I was eating wasn't staying in my body. So it was just a pretty terrible cycle. And I just felt like it was taking over my whole life. I had no brain space left to worry about friends or family or my job or anything at all. And I just felt like I was staying in my house as like all day and I was doing my work, but not very well because my brain was in like a million other places. And I just felt like I had no quality of life and I wanted to go be able to do simple things like go on a trip with my family or like it seems so simple, but it was all these little things that I wanted to be able to do. And so when my life was feeling like that and also running was going bad, the two of them together, I was like, if one was going good and the other was going bad, I could deal with it. But with both me just like taking a nosedive with running, I knew my body was telling me, you need to figure this out. You need to stop this because I'm not going to be able to run if I don't. So that was kind of
Yeah.
why I made that decision.
Wow. I am so sorry to hear you were going through that. It takes so much strength to recognize those struggles, especially while you're in them, and seek professional help. So I'm glad you decided to prioritize your body and your well-being. Do you want to talk about your time in the treatment center?
So I went to this facility in St. Louis. It was supposed to be for athletes, and I had no idea what I was getting into. I just like knew I needed help and called them up, and they were like, "Yeah, we have a spot for you." And so I spent 6 weeks there, and it was a really crazy. I'm glad I did it, but it was a crazy experience. You're not even allowed to stand for extended periods of time. They don't want you any exercise whatsoever. You're
Wow.
just eating like 6 meals a day, and you're in a house with like 15 other people who all have their own issues and struggles, and it's like group therapy for literally 8 hours a day. So it's a pretty intense uh, experience, and I was really glad to leave. But it changed my life, and I'm really glad I did it. But yeah, once I got out, I expected like, well, since I'm treating my body better than I ever have before, my body's going to be faster than it ever was before. And I'm going to feel great. And then it was complete opposite. It was so terrible. I felt worse than ever.
Oh, definitely. I mean, taking 6 weeks off from running is tough. It can take a long time to regain that speed and that fitness. However, you're in such a better place now physically to be even faster than you were before. I think now it's just gonna be like a time thing. How's it been for you setting new expectations as you push towards running races again?
It's getting easier. I think I try to think of myself as not an old version of myself. I'm a new person now, I feel like, and I can't compare myself to old Bethany because she was not healthy. And yeah, I was running fast, and that is so hard to reconcile in my head that I was running my fastest when I was treating my body the worst. But I try to remember that I'm so grateful that I'm never going to be that version of me again because I have so much in my life now that I never could have dreamed of having before. But it's still really, really hard to go to races and to be minutes slower than I have been and to feel like I'm putting in so much more effort than I used to run slower. But I don't know, it's just, I have faith that I'm gonna get there eventually, and I'm just gonna have to kind of like wade through this for a little while.
Oh, yeah. Your spirit is so admirable. You recognizing yourself as a new person takes so much maturity and strength, especially as you regain entry to a sport that influenced that old you. Are you still experiencing those struggles at the start line of a race?
Yeah, that's so hard. I still feel like I struggle with that. I mean, get on the start line and there's like a million super skinny people on the start line, and it's hard not to think like, oh, could that make the difference? But I think that the most helpful thing, and I didn't believe this when I was, a year ago coming back, but everyone told me, or my therapist would tell me, like, this isn't going to last forever. Like your body will heal. It wants to heal. It's good at healing. That's what it's doing for you. And I just have to be patient and let it heal and give it rest and give it food and just try to be patient. And it's so, so, so hard, but it took me 2 years to feel a little bit better. But I think that's all I would say is just to be patient and to know that a lot of other people are going through this. You may not see it, they may not be talking about it, but I mean, it's really sad that so many other runners are, but I mean, probably like 4 out of 5 people who I've talked to have mentioned that at some point in their life, or 4 out of 5 runners, I would say, at some point in their life have struggled with some sort of disordered eating or just being super obsessed with weight, or it's just such a prevalent thing. So I think that's a little comforting. It's also really sad, but to know that, everyone is probably thinking the same thing. A lot of people are thinking the same thing.
100%. I'm so glad you're on here to share that part of your life story around running because it's everywhere in the world of fitness. It shouldn't be something shameful, especially if you're in a space where you can seek help. Your journey to recovery from that is huge, and I hope anybody listening knows that they can get through it too. All right, big news, everybody, in the world of running. The Houston Marathon was this past weekend on Sunday, and I'm delighted to share that the women's half marathon American record was broken. The time was 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 25 seconds. That equates to just under 5 minutes and 4 seconds per mile. Absolutely insane. Well above my single 1 mile PR. So, congratulations to Waini Kilati. Did you race in Saucony at the Richmond Marathon?
No, I use like super original like the 4%, whatever the very first generation was. I had a friend who had an extra pair that he had never used, and those are my favorite. So he sent them to me, and they worked fine.
That's awesome. Well, they worked out for you because, I mean, you won the Richmond Marathon, which is amazing. Is this your first marathon win?
No, I don't. Oh, first marathon win. Maybe it is my first marathon win. It might be.
You don't even know? That is crazy to me.
I don't know, because I've been to Richmond so many times, and I know I've won the half a couple of times, but I don't think I've ever won the marathon there. So you're probably right. That's the first one.
Have you you haven't won any other marathons?
I don't think so. No.
Wow. Yeah. And you're just like, whatever. I know that race specifically, and going into CIM as well, you were looking to try to Olympic time qualify. which
Yeah.
for like the listeners that don't know, it's a 2:37 on the dot, right?
Yep.
So with that, like, I'd really like to dive into the Richmond Marathon specifically, because you won, but you didn't necessarily hit a goal that you might have been like pushing for.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and talk about like the Richmond Marathon and your experience. First of all, you don't even live here anymore. So
Yeah.
why did you pick the Richmond Marathon?
I wanted a really low key race for my first marathon back, and every time I've come to Richmond, I've loved it. There's always such nice people out, and it's a huge marathon, but it's still so chill. You're not taking a bus to the start or having some, crazy start experience. And I have family in Lorton, Virginia, and so that's like an hour and a half away. So I figured I'd do Richmond, and it was really fun. It was definitely just as cool as I remembered it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is America's like friendliest marathon they keep talking about, which I get. It's really nice. You kind of have crowd support everywhere. I'm personally a fan of like those lonely miles where, you hit 15, 16 miles and there's like nobody around. I love those marathons where it's
Really?
just you can dial in a little bit, like, where am I? We're approaching like the last 10K. Stuff like that, but maybe that's not your experience because
No, you must be really tough. You like to work for it in your shoes and you like the lonely miles. So, I mean, you're perfect for the marathon.
yeah, I always say it's good practice with my coach because I just ran with her last weekend and it was the third person I've ever run with in my entire running journey so far.
Really?
Which again surprises people because they're like, I love running with people, and for me, I just don't have those opportunities. And that might be something we can dive into about with like speed. As you approach like faster markers, we're removing ourselves from like the top of the bell curve. We're down in like the very, very small part of runners.
Yeah.
How did race day start for you?
I woke up and I always eat oatmeal, so I just ate oatmeal. And then I had made a bunch of rice from the night before, so I just had it in a little plastic baggie, and I was just munching on it all the way to Richmond. And that's pretty much it. Oh, and I always like to use that UCAN powder, the super starch powder, before the race, just like that 30 minutes before. But that was about it.
That's it. Very simple. I like that you always have oatmeal before any workout or just before a race.
Yeah, I eat oatmeal every day, 365 days a year.
Awesome. Yeah, that's Kipchoge's favorite food too.
Oh, is it?
He said that in an interview that he's like oatmeal all the time. Nothing.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, great race food. You, I guess, are now leaving from Lorton to drive down the morning of.
Yeah, we drove down the morning of, so we left pretty early. But yeah, my parents came with me, so I had a chauffeur.
Yeah, awesome. That's good, especially for the way back.
Yeah, when you're not able to move your legs.
Yeah, that's a little more important than the way down.
Yeah.
So you get there. What's your warm-up look like? It's dark. The weather's like kind of cold. What's happening?
I just did a quick 15-minute jog, super slow, and then some drills, changed my shoes, dropped my stuff off, all the classic runner stuff, wait in line for the porta potty. And then that was about it. I just kind of packed all my gels in my clothes and
What gels are you using?
What did I use? Oh, I used UCAN gels for that race.
Okay, good. Yeah, someone actually asked from the last podcast, so now there's a time to bring it up. They're like, what are gels? So it's funny. I think we get so caught up in the like terms of things. So gels are little packets of like liquid energy, usually like 20 to 30 grams of carbs, which is what you need while you're running because you're constantly burning through those carbs. So they're just little pocket liquid packs that you can bring with you. And the interesting part about gels is like they have a lot of sugars, and some of those carbs are like quick carbs, as they say, so they go through your body really fast, so they're almost immediately available for use. I don't know how many gels you use in a race. How many?
Probably like 4.
Yeah. So 4 is like 100 grams of carbs in the course of like a 2 hour, 45 minute race. So that's pretty good. I think the standard usually they say is like 50 to 90 grams an hour,
Okay.
depending on each person. So that's what gels are. So now everybody's on the same page.
Well said.
Gels are crucial. If you don't have a gel, you typically do hit the wall very quickly because your glycogen stores run out at around like the 2-hour mark. That's kind of the standard. So, okay, cool. Yeah, you're like on the start line and getting ready. Now you, as a female, you're going to win this race, as we know, spoiler, but you're not going to be technically like in first place. The male winner will be in first place. So when you get to the start line, you know, are you looking around like, I'm going to win this race? Or what happens? You get to the start line, like what's happening? Are you talking to people?
I was like freaking out about finding people to run with because I think the Richmond Marathon had a different elite coordinator this year. So there weren't as many athletes. I expected there to be a lot of women to run with, or at least a couple of women to run with. And I looked around and I was like, oh no, there's no one here. It's just all men. So that's going to be really tough. I was just thinking like, great, I'm going to run this whole thing by myself. And I asked the lady beside me, I was like, what are you trying to run? And she was like, 3 hours. And I was like, oh no. Okay, that's fine, I guess. And then I was just trying to like see which guys look like they might be running around my pace, and yeah, that was about it. Just kind of freaking out.
Put your hand up if you're running a
Yeah.
2:37.
Yeah, and they always will say faster. I found like if you ask the guys around, I'm like, "What are you running?" And they'll be like, "Oh, 2:25 or something." And then I'll see them like later in the race, they'll run like what they were actually planning to run, like a 2:35 or something.
Yeah, isn't that a shame? Can't be realistic. Yeah, that's probably a good feeling for you. I know guys get so weird with girls. Like, it's fine if a girl's faster than you, and I feel like it's even sweeter when you pass them and you're like, yeah, you told me a 2:25.
Yeah.
Now what? You're like barely going to get under 3. So
Yes, yeah. But yeah, sometimes they're so nice though too. Like I had a lot of guys in the race that just really helped me along, and they would be like, "Come on, keep going." So that was really nice.
yeah, that's a cool part of the marathon distance is like we're not dying. Usually you can say a few words and have like a little conversation. So I love that you get those little pick-me-ups like during the race. So
Yeah.
I guess at this point you're like, okay, I guess I'm the only girl running. At that point, are you like, I guess I'm going to win? Like, I want to know at what point are you like thinking on the start line, I have a chance to win this? Is that not even on your mind?
Yeah, I never even thought about it because I just wanted to run 2:37 and I didn't care if I got last place and it ran 2:37. It didn't matter to me. So, and also there's not prize money for that marathon. So I wasn't like, okay, sick, I can get like a couple $1,000s here or whatever. So I was just so focused on finding people to run that exact pace with.
Yeah, I get that. With the like elite area, do you get any type of like special treatment? Because you said the coordinator, like I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, for the Richmond Marathon, there was nothing. It was basically an entry. And then, yeah, you just show up and it's just like everyone else.
Did someone reach out to you, or you reach out to them and say, hey, give me an entry?
Yeah, I just reached out to the woman whose name was on the website and she said, sure, here's the code, sign up. And then, yeah, that was it.
That's cool. You got to do it for free in a way.
Yeah, definitely helpful.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we start. The weather was fantastic. I want to say it was like 40-ish degrees, which is premium running weather in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. It was really nice.
So you start out during the race. Do you have anyone that's following you, like any type of lead car, or you're just like going? I don't know if they're tracking the woman that's leading, because you're leading.
Yeah, so from the very start, there was a police motorcycle. So he was with me the whole entire race, just like right beside me. And I felt bad for everyone that I was running with because it was so loud. Like you could never just like relax. It was this constant motorcycle sound like right next to you. But I get that they had to do that, I guess.
That's kind of cool, though. How many people in their life get to be led by a motorcycle for a whole race?
Yeah, and he was like really funny towards the end of the race. People were all getting in the way, and he's like, I'll get him out of the way for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that a lot. Yeah, so did no one even really come close to getting to you? The second person, I saw like end result finished in 7 minutes behind you.
Yeah. I know I never saw that person, so I don't know who it was, and I don't think I saw her on the start line, so I hadn't seen anybody the whole race.
Just a very solo race. Wow.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
So, yeah, you're getting led. Do you have any like it's such an interesting experience, and I bring it up because I won a Richmond race and was led by two police cars, and it was like the most out of body experience that I've ever had. So you're like, oh yeah, I was beside this really annoying cop car, but I was like, how cool is that to be like getting sort of that attention?
Yeah, that's true.
As the crowds are coming through, they're like, whoa, it's a police car. Like, oh, there's the number one woman. Or you're getting like even more cheers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you didn't have, it was just like another day for you.
Yeah, but I think what like you're saying, people always get extra excited for women racing, especially if you're like first or second or whatever, and that always like makes me tear up a little bit when other women, especially, get so excited. Like they'll be racing and they'll be on like an out and back, and they'll still take the time to just be so excited and cheering me on, and that is so nice. Like the running community is such a good one, and they're so supportive and happy for other people to do good things.
Yeah, I love that. I wish that I had known you prior, and there was no loop around, but I definitely would have been cheering for you. That's pretty sweet. I love the cop car part too. So you did get some good attention.
Yeah, people were hype.
That was interesting to me because like you're almost in the pack of like there's a couple guys around you, I think, during the race.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for the first 6 or 7 miles, I had guys around me, so that was nice.
what was your favorite part of the course?
I think probably like the last 4 or 5 miles. That was when it like gets more flat and there's a lot of people and you're getting close to being done. So I like that part.
How does Richmond as a course like fare for you? It's kind of flat, but it's got some up downs. I mean, it's definitely
Yeah.
not like pancake flat, and I think by technicalities a net downhill because the finish you come in. I mean, the finish line is an insane drop on the last like half mile.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I want them to get rid of that so much because I think I'm gonna like fall. But what is that a course that you really like? You like the rolling hills?
Yeah, I like it. I think I would like it if I'm really fit. I remember I ran it like I think it was my first marathon. I ran the Richmond Marathon and I loved it and I thought it was so easy and the course was so fun and like everything was great. But I think that's because I was really fit back then, and I think if you're like maybe didn't have enough time to get where you want to go, those hills are hard. Like I noticed them so much this time around.
Yeah, yeah. Are you doing anything in training to prepare for those hills?
I mean, Boulder in itself is super hilly. There's never anywhere flat to run, so all of our workouts were always some sort of up down. So I felt like I would be appropriately prepared, but I probably should have, looking back, put more hills into my program.
And they have altitude there too, so you
Yeah.
really are in like the top training part of the nation. You get a lot of extra work out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's good to know. I didn't know if you do any type of like bicycling or strength training like on the side that kind of builds you for those hills. But if you're surrounded by them,
Yeah.
that's more than enough.
Yeah, I do a
So,
ton of lifting. This time around was the first time that I really got serious about lifting, but I think it helped me stay injury free, but I don't know. I still felt the hills.
yeah. Yeah, you never can avoid them.
No.
They always creep up on you. So, well, that's awesome. Yeah, congratulations on winning.
Thanks.
That's good to hear. When you finished, as you approached like the finisher tape, was that any type of experience for you? Even though I won the race and was led by a cop car, they forgot to put out the tape, so I missed it.
Oh no.
Which is still on my bucket list. So, really want to
Oh,
do that at some point. That's like the piece that I want.
yeah.
So, is there ever an experience of like when you're winning that you feel extremely special coming through that tape? Because there's very few people that ever get to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was really special and it was just extra special to me because I felt like I worked so hard the last 2 years to finish a marathon. And I you know, had tough miles, but overall I had a really good experience, and I didn't have my body would feel like it was on fire before in the last like few years. I would start a race and I would feel like my whole body was lactic and I just couldn't fix that in races. And so to have this race where that never happened, I felt healthy. Everything stayed intact, and I only had like some few tough miles that anyone would have in a marathon. So finishing, I felt so proud of myself, even though I missed the standard. I didn't really care. I was just like, wow, I finished a marathon. I can build from here and get better and faster. And I know my body can do it now. So that was a really cool feeling.
Yeah. This whole race was like for the new version of you.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that's a huge accomplishment. I love that you were able to like be really happy about it, even though you slightly missed the goal.
Yeah.
'Cause sometimes that can, even though you have a great race, that new goal that you're always pushing for can sometimes let us down.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that.
Thanks.
Definitely glad that you're back like in the running community. So
yeah, me too.
I want to know about Haruni. That's how you say her name. Mm-hmm. I want to know about you and her. Are you guys roommates? How did you meet? And she's like your partner in training now. And
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, we knew of each other because we both grew up, well, we both lived in Virginia. I think high school, middle school age, but mostly high school. And so when I moved to Boulder, I had moved actually in 2020 when the pandemic started. I went to Boulder for a summer, and so we ran together a little bit. But then when I came back, she was super welcoming and was always inviting me out for runs. And I had joined a team when I came out, and then I left because it just wasn't a good fit, and she kind of left her team at the same time, and we'd already been doing easy runs together, and so then we were like, well, why don't we just start training together? We have such a good dynamic. We never race each other. I don't know. I'm competitive with everyone except Rooney. I don't want to be her. I want us to both like do our best and to have good workouts. And so I think that just made it really, really fun to train. And then we kind of just coached ourselves and made up our training, and so that was really fun because then we could just kind of craft it around our schedules too, because it's really hard when you're on a team and you're also working a full-time job and no one else is working a full-time job, and you're like, I can't train at 10 a.m. and then spend all day in the gym or whatever. So it's nice that we can wake up early and do our workouts together. And yeah, it's really brought the fun back into training because we both are coming back kind of and trying to be good athletes again. And so it's nice to have someone else who knows what I'm going through, and we can both kind of pick each other up when we're like, are we ever going to be good at this again? And we're like, of course we will. This will be fine. And so we can always kind of hype each other up.
Yeah, I like that a lot with like equal push too. It's very rare to find someone that is not holding you back and not ahead of you. You guys are kind of progressing equally. That is very rare. I don't think that many people can find others like that or even want that. For me, I want someone that's faster, but they don't want someone that's slower. So that's great for you guys. I want to hear too, this is like a little bit off topic, but I saw something where you said like you tie your shoes once and then you never tie your shoes again. What is up with that?
Yeah, whenever I buy running shoes, I just tie them the first time, and they like so that they're really loose so I can just slip them on and off. And then I just leave them tied for their whole career. And then, because I hate tying them every time, it takes so much time. But I also feel like if they come untied and you have to tie them again, that's kind of like bad luck. So I don't know. I never tie them. But my racing shoes, I'll tie those, just not my trainers.
So your trainers are running in like half loose.
Yeah. If I've stepped in mud before and my shoe got stuck in the mud and my foot came out of it. They're very loose.
Oh my gosh. I was amazed. I was thinking to myself, she's probably just referring to like, the shoes that you just slip on to go take the trash out or something. But no, these are actually your like daily training shoes. That is insane. I am not on board with that. I'd love for people in the comments to say whether or not they do that. Is this really like a thing that a lot of people do, or it's just specific to you?
It's just me. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Hey everyone, back with another news flash. Something to be thinking about as we're having these conversations, especially in today's podcast, is there is a huge running community, but sometimes you might not know where to go to find runners around you. So I want to encourage you to start looking on Facebook. There are tons of running groups in there for all paces. They may eventually lead you to Strava groups. Strava has the ability to post group runs so you can see who's going, who's not. Such a cool way to post and be a part of your community. So make sure that you're utilizing running groups on Facebook or on Strava. Also, if you go to your local running store, I bet you they could lead you in the right direction. So make sure you're doing that. Like Bethany says, running alone sucks. So let's keep going. Let's keep persisting. And until the next one. All right, so I ask all of my guests this, so it's only fitting that I ask you as well. At what point in your life or otherwise did you hit a wall, and how did you overcome it?
This summer in August or July, I got laid off from my job. And it was the first time I've ever been laid off, and it was really shocking. And I could not find a job for the life of me. And it took months and months and months. And so I think right then, during that time when I'm like, wow, like my money is running out, this is really scary, I have no prospects of a new job. I thought, this must be like a redirection. If I'm not able to find a job that I want in like what I think is my career path, I need to start looking elsewhere. I need to find things that I'm excited about and like invest time there rather than banging my head against a wall trying to find like the exact same job that I had before. I need to like branch out, find new hobbies and do new things. And so I think even though that was like a really bad time in my life where I really felt like I was hitting the wall like every day for months, some really good things came out of it. And I found an awesome job, even though it took me so long to find it, that I really love now. And I got all kinds of new experiences. I started working at a sports bar serving, and I found like that was so fun, and I really love doing it. And I'll probably keep doing it for fun on the weekends. And yeah, I played pickleball a ton. I just like kind of really embraced it and started doing things that sounded fun to me.
Yeah, I like too that you picked up something on the side like while you were searching for this more permanent job. What a great chance to just experience other parts of life of like, hey, I've always wanted to be like a bartender or work here and do this. Like, I really like that you explored different passions in the meantime. That's pretty awesome.
It was so fun.
Now that you're out of that, how are you taking that piece of like running and that experience in like the eating disorder and everything that you've done to become a new version of you, and how are you bringing that into the running community as someone that could potentially influence others?
I'm hoping that by talking about it, even though it was really scary at first, I really wanted to hear other people's experiences with having eating disorders. And I wanted to know, like, can you get better? Can you run fast again? And I know there's people like Molly Seidel where she got a bronze medal at the Olympics after going through a treatment stint. But there's just nothing. No one talks about it. And especially if it's an eating disorder other than anorexia, it's just a little more shameful and people don't want to talk about it. And so I felt like hopefully by being super open and just sharing what I'm going through as I'm going through it, and not when I'm on the other side and everything is fine. And then I'm like, okay, now let me tell you how terrible this was. But I think just sharing it in real time, hopefully there's other people out there who maybe girls who will see what's happening to me and be like, wow, I don't want to wreck my body and I want to run for a long time, so maybe I should stop now and get help. Or just people who are going through what I'm going through and having some hope that you can come back and your body will heal someday. It might take a while, but it will. And I hope that helps other people.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
I love that you're open about it too, because I think it needs to be discussed. Until I started learning more about you, like I didn't even realize that it was so strong necessarily in the community. So hopefully we can all take like a page out of your book and really be more conscious of what's going on maybe with people around us. So yeah, thank you so much. And I was curious if you have any thoughts or feelings about like dating life, because you're juggling a full-time job, You've got like very intense training, at least 6 days a week. You're probably running or doing some type of exercise, and on top of that, like you have so many things to juggle: dog, cat. That cat that might not need as much personal time, but the dog especially. You've got like a whole life going on.
Yeah.
What does it look like for you in terms of like juggling all of that, and possibly in the realm of dating too? Like that's something you might have to put effort towards.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think that I found success when I find someone who, when I'm, the way that I feel like I've met people is doing things that I love to do. So not necessarily like going out of my way to be on the apps or go out and meet people at bars, but or like, silly things or being in the gym or playing pickleball or, I mean, I've dated runners. And so I think like finding someone who kind of has the same lifestyle has been so important. Someone who likes to go to bed early and wake up early. And
Yes.
that's like so important, right? Like that mismatch is so huge, especially for us as like type A. I want to go to bed at like 8:30 or 9 runners. So yeah,
Yes.
I think just finding someone who fits with my lifestyle and who's also active and supportive and willing to understand this weird running thing, but knowing also that running's not going to last forever. So can't be placing all of my value and being like, okay, does this person like running? Are they a runner? Otherwise, no, because I'm not going to be doing this forever. But I
Yeah,
don't know if that makes
definitely
any sense.
the sleeping for sure. You've got to, as weird as it is, like almost a red flag. You've got to find someone that goes to bed at the same time.
Yeah, or like respects that you want to go to bed early. Because if someone's gonna be like, "Oh no, it's okay. Like you don't have to go to bed early," no, like, no, you don't understand. I'll get so mad at you.
Yeah, definitely need my sleep. And life's so much easier when you can go to bed at 8:30 and not have to worry about
Yes.
anything else. So I totally agree with that. Plus, too, I love the balance of fitness is so vast and so broad. So you could get someone that lifts or just goes on
Yeah.
hikes. Like there's so many different avenues of fitness. So it doesn't have to be a runner. Yeah, that's totally accurate.
Yeah.
I think you can get supported in any fashion. But
Yeah.
I think that your goals are lined up right there. Do you have anything that is like a definite deal breaker for you? For me, I'm married, so with my wife, I always make the joke like my for sure deal breaker is that you have to be able to swim. And as odd as that is, like I love water sports and the
Oh,
ocean.
okay.
So if you can't swim, it's not going to work. I already
It's
just
not
know.
gonna work.
So
I think my deal breaker, maybe it's less playful, but if someone in the morning, if I say I'm going to go for my run and they're like, no, no, you can skip it and stay in bed, that is always such a deal breaker to me because I feel like you don't respect like what I do or what I love if you're, and like that you don't take it really seriously. And I mean, it's not that serious, it's just a run, but I feel like that is just so annoying to me. Like, I'm not going to skip my run. I'm going to go
yeah,
do it.
yeah. So deal breaker to everybody. We have to go on our runs.
Have to go on a
That's for
run.
sure.
Or I'll be like wanting to kill you. Yeah, I don't know if you feel the same way. Like, I'll just be so grumpy if I'm not able to get out and like move.
Yeah, yeah. I've never been held back from that uh, because my wife's usually up before me already working out. But
Oh, nice.
yeah, I totally understand. Once you're ready to start moving, like it's got to happen. Type A
Yeah.
too. Like we're so type A, it has to be like I'm up at 5, and then by 5:15 I have to be here, and by
Yeah.
5:30 I have to be here. I mean, we have a whole life. You have a full time job. It's a lot to manage, so definitely can't be held back in any fashion.
Yeah.
What is the best way for people to connect with you? Is that through Instagram?
Yeah, probably Instagram is what I'm on the most.
What is your Instagram handle?
It is Bethany.Sackleben.
Okay, and I'll try to put that in like the link comments because I don't think any of us know how to spell that. So
I know that looking back, that was probably a terrible idea to put my full last name in there, but
yeah, just Bethany S or something. But yeah, I like it. One last question for you before we wrap up. And do you have any advice for anyone that wants to get started in running?
yeah, I feel like having a goal always helps. I'm not excited about running unless I'm training for something. And so I think having, a 5K coming up or a 10K or just something little, or even just joining a running group where you have some accountability and some like long runs to look forward to on the weekend is so helpful. Because just going out, I mean, you're a unicorn, you can run alone, but people, for the most part, I feel like running alone is not that much fun, and you're eventually going to be like, okay, this sucks, I'm going to quit. So I think finding people is also huge for sticking with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love that you said that because this week, actually, a guy named Nathan, I'm sure you're going to be listening, he was asking about like motivation and how to stay motivated just in general with fitness. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head about like having something to look forward to. Even if the race is like a year away, just like having it on your sights and just being signed
Yeah.
up, or even just thinking that you want to push for that is huge, because you have that goal that needs to be met, especially in the marathon. You don't just wake up tomorrow and do it. Like I mentioned with a half marathon, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, having those like long-term goals set out is huge. So I like that
Yeah.
you mentioned that. All right. Well, Bethany, I thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You have been a delight.
Thank you so much for having me on. This was so nice of you.
Of course. So to all my listeners out there, we will catch you for part 2 of the series next time. Peace.